Welcome to Overdivest Nurseries, where we grow over 2,000 different varieties of outdoor garden plants, ones that have been especially selected for their suitability for our region. That's the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states of the US. Lots of really good plants, and if you're interested in finding out more about them, can I suggest that you click and subscribe to this channel, because we're posting new videos all the time featuring many of the plants that we grow here on the nursery. Trees and shrubs and perennials and ornamental grasses and flowering vines too. And as you see in front of me here, some really gorgeous varieties of dwarf evergreens as well. This is Abelia Mardi Gras, a variety that only gets to about 2 to 3 foot high and spreads out to make a low spreading mound that's wider rather than it's tall. So if it gets to about 2 to 3 foot high, you can expect this to grow into a mound of maybe about 4 or 5 foot. All the time producing lots and lots of this gorgeous foliage that gives you color throughout the whole of the year. Literally from spring all the way through summer, into the fall, into winter time, and then again in spring. And then in addition to having this beautiful variegated foliage that's always changing, during the growing season you'll notice that it's more of a white and green color with pink accents. And now at this time of year, when the temperature's getting a little colder, you'll see that it takes on a distinct kind of bronze and reddish shades, and definitely adds, when you look at it overall, to a pink coloration too. But in addition to all of that I just mentioned, it also carries heavy crops of these beautiful little pink and white flowers that are carried all over its rounded mound. And they also appear from late spring through the summertime and into the autumn time. And what's neat about those is that, as you see, they're very attractive, but they're also attractive to pollinating insects, things like bees and butterflies too. So if you're looking for a dwarf compact evergreen shrub that you can grow as a single specimen to make a beautiful accent in a bed or a border somewhere, this is definitely one that will fit the bill, because it will provide lots of color right through the whole of the growing season. Obviously, if you have the space and you're able to plant a nice big bold group of them, that will work very well too. And what I would suggest that you also think about using this as a kind of low informal hedge too. You can see how pretty these look like when they're all set out here in these rows. One of the tricks with this, and it's hardy to zone 6, so it will grow anywhere in zone 6, 7, 8 and so on, is that this is a plant that gives you color throughout the whole of the year. But because it's evergreen, and probably even though it's looking really pretty at this time of year and during the summertime, it's probably at its most effective during the winter time. And therefore I'd suggest, if you're thinking about where you're going to plant this, is that if you can, try to tuck it in somewhere in a sheltered place. Now that's because the foliage will look really at its best during the kind of dull, dormant winter periods. And if it's tucked in a sheltered place, you'll find that the foliage will stand out and give a lot more color without getting any damage to the tips of the growth. That sometimes happens if it's out in a sunny, wind-prone area, and then you might get little dead tips, which are okay because you just go in early spring and trim them back, and you'll find that it will then regrow out and produce lots of young, fresh growth. Now, as I make my way through the crop here, you might be interested to see that every other plant has been trimmed back. There are some like this one, which, as you see, has lots of young, strong, luxuriant growth on it, very colourful. And this is one that now, when we send it out to the garden centre, you'll be able to see all of its glorious beauty there. On the other hand, This is one that we've just trimmed back, and the idea behind this is to make a plant that's bushy and compact so that whenever you get it home, it's growing nice and strongly and gets off to a great start. But also this will come on in about 2 or 3 weeks and look like this one. So we've got that cycle of production. Now, this is something that you might want to try at home, because as you see, when you trim them back regularly, you'll produce extra bushy and compact and very colourful plants, just like these ones. So that if you've got a smaller space some road and you'd rather keep it on the tight, compact side, by getting out a pair of pruning shears during the season and clipping it regularly, you'll be able to keep it really bushy and compact. And if you look here, you'll see that the young growth now that's emerging has lots of little colourful shoots that are going to grow out in about 2 or 3 weeks' time, and then they'll look just like these. You could do it either with a single individual plant, or of course you could also do it with a little low hedge or an edging to a bed, wherever you want to try and grow some of these beautiful plants. Found as a sport by Rick Crowder, that's the general manager and president of Hawks Ridge Nurseries in Hickory, North Carolina in 2000. It was put into production and became available in the trade in 2004. And we started growing this variety shortly thereafter, and from then until the present time, I simply have to say that this is a really gorgeous dwarf shrub that is very valuable, not only as a landscape plant, but also as a plant that you might think about putting into a container. And because the foliage is so gorgeous, you might also like to use this as a background filler in floral arrangements too. So as you see, lots and lots of really good uses that you can use this fantastic, very colourful dwarf evergreen shrub. This is Abelia Mardi Gras.